Speaking of sports and athleticism, you were just watching Sunday Night Football here on NBC. Week 4 of the NFL concludes tomorrow, but the 162-game baseball season concluded today. So, our Julie Buehler has a recap of the action that everyone will be talking about around the water cooler. Julie.
Thank you so much, Angela. That's true. It is only week 4 of the NFL season, but for some other teams, looks like it's going to be a very long season. Meanwhile, we all know that Major League Baseball, it is a long season, but it ended today with last year's most successful team swinging and missing at a postseason berth.
Well, the Angels boasted the best player and the best record in baseball last year, but this year, not so much. After 161 games, the Angels had to win the 162nd game in order to have a shot at the wild card. Well, they whiffed, losing to the Texas Rangers 9-2. The only consolation, and it's not a good one, Mike Trout won the All-Star Game's MVP, and therefore the American League will host the World Series. Heading to the postseason, though, the Yankees, for the first time in 3 years, will face off against the Houston Astros in the wild card round. The Toronto Blue Jays and Kansas City Royals, last year's league champs, they also punched their tickets to the postseason. In the National League, the St. Louis Cardinals earned the best record in baseball and the NL Central nod. Meanwhile, their division rivals, the Pirates and the Cubs, earned the wild cards. Yes, the Cubs made the playoffs, and they're good at baseball. They have a chance to do something very special this year. The Dodgers and their record payroll won the West, and the New York Mets took the East for the first time since 2006, and those teams will face off in the first round. The wild card games begin Tuesday. On to the NFL, where the Oakland Raiders won in the Eastern time zone for the first time in 16 games last week with the win over the Cleveland Browns. But Chicago, it's in the Central time zone. And the Bears had their starting quarterback Jay Cutler back from a hamstring injury, and despite Cutler throwing a late interception, Robbie Gould kicked a 50-yard field goal and gave the Bears their first win of the season, 22-20 over the Raiders. The Chargers pulled out a narrow win at home against Cleveland, 30-27 the final. It was a back-and-forth battle with both quarterbacks slinging the football around the field, each throwing for more than 350 yards to 8 different receivers. And with the win margin of only 3 points, usually penalties and kickers are the difference makers, and they certainly were in this game. While the Chargers kicker Josh Lambo missed his first attempt at a 39-yard game-winning field goal, a Browns penalty gave him another shot. He did not miss again. Chargers get the win. The Packers were at Levi Stadium, home of this year's Super Bowl, and one of the two teams playing there Sunday have a good shot of going back for the historic game. And it's not the Niners. Once again, mistakes, miscues, and turnovers cost them the game, and the Niners dropped their third straight, this time at home, 17-3 the final, and the Packers remain unbeaten. And going into Sunday's games, the Arizona Cardinals were also unbeaten, but the St. Louis, soon-to-be Los Angeles Rams changed that. Rookie running back Todd Gurley had a great game, rushing for 146 yards, and the Rams handed Arizona its first loss of the season, 24-22. But the Bengals, Panthers, Falcons, and Broncos all remained perfect on the season. Denver, though, faced the biggest challenge in a battle at home against Minnesota. Adrian Peterson had a big game, but second-year quarterback Teddy Bridgewater fumbled in the final moments, thus sealing the win for the Broncos.
It was a very exciting day in the NFL, and congratulations to all the fantasy football players. I went 2-0 in my fantasy football leagues. Hopefully you did as well. Also, congratulations to the New Orleans Saints, who won their first game of the season right here on NBC for Sunday Night Football. It is baseball's postseason that's just about to begin, and we're coming into the heart of the NFL and college football seasons, plus NBA fans, NHL fans, your seasons are just around the corner. So, Angela, certainly a very busy time. In the studio, I'm Julie Buehler, KMIR News.
Thank you, Julie, and I don't think I'd compete against you with fantasy football. I think you'd win. Coming up next on